You could escape to a cabin in the woods, throw your phone into a lake, and still feel trapped. Why? Because the prison isn't always out there. Sometimes it's between your ears. If you can't sit alone with your own thoughts without reaching for distractions, you're not free. That's not just a modern problem. Even 2,000 years ago, the Stoics warned us, if you fear being alone, it's because you haven't made peace with the company you keep, yourself. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help our journey, and stick around till the end. This one might sting in a good way. Number 1, the addiction to distraction. Let's be honest. Most of us can't go 5 minutes without checking something. Notifications, emails, that one meme page you swore you'd unfollow, it never ends. But it's not just about being busy. It's about being unable to stop. And here's the kicker. Distraction isn't entertainment anymore. It's medication. The Stoics believed true strength was in mastering your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That quote hits harder when you realize many people today would rather scroll endlessly than spend 10 minutes with their own thoughts. The scary truth? If your peace depends on noise, you're not in control. Your environment is. You're not living, you're buffering. And most of us are like Wi-Fi signals in a storm, constantly searching for a connection, but never quite stable. Freedom doesn't come from having options. It comes from not needing them. If you have to fill every silence with sound, every stillness with motion, then you're not free. You're on a leash made of convenience. Number 2, sitting with yourself. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." But here's the twist. Most people don't sit still long enough to even notice the imagination running wild. They escape the moment so quickly that they never get to know what's actually bothering them. When you sit with yourself without distractions, you meet your mind face to face. No filters, no edits, no trending sounds. Just you and the mental chaos you've been running from. Scary? Maybe. Necessary? Absolutely. The Stoics practiced this kind of solitude deliberately. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Like a warrior sharpening his sword, they used stillness to strengthen their perception and character. And you don't need a mountain cave to do this. A quiet room and 5 minutes of honesty will do the job. Is it uncomfortable? Sure. So is the gym. So is growth. But avoiding discomfort has never made anyone stronger. It just makes the fear louder. Until you can sit with your own mind and not try to escape, you'll always be owned by the next distraction. Number 3, the lie of constant productivity. There's a weird badge of honor in today's world, being always busy. We glorify hustle, multitasking, and calendars that look like war zones. But busyness isn't freedom. It's often a mask for fear. Fear of what might surface if you stop moving. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Constant productivity might feel powerful, but if you're afraid to pause, you're not producing, you're performing. Sitting with yourself reveals whether your drive comes from passion or panic. Are you working to build something meaningful, or are you just outrunning silence? Big difference. One leads to fulfillment. The other leads to burnout with Wi-Fi. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do isn't adding more to your to-do list. It's subtracting noise until all that's left is you, and figuring out if you're okay with that. If not, that's your next project. Number 4, the courage to be bored. We treat boredom like it's some kind of emergency. 5 seconds of silence, and we're on our phones like they contain the cure. But what if boredom is just the gateway drug to insight? The Stoics understood that boredom wasn't a curse, it was a mirror. In those slow, quiet moments, you start hearing the thoughts you've ignored. You start noticing what you feel instead of what you're supposed to be doing. Here's a funny truth. Some of your best ideas are hiding in your boredom, but they'll never come out if you keep sedating yourself with content. Creativity doesn't scream over the noise, it whispers in the quiet. Being bored isn't a sign that life is dull. It's a sign you're detoxing. If you can push through it without sprinting to distraction, you might rediscover something ancient and powerful, your own inner world. And yes, it's weird in there, but it's yours. Number 5, true freedom is inner peace. At the heart of Stoicism is the idea that you can't control the world, but you can control your mind. If you can sit in a room, alone, with no stimulation, and feel at peace, congratulations, you've achieved something most people never will. But here's the secret. That kind of peace doesn't show up by accident. You have to train for it. It's a muscle, and like all muscles, it grows when challenged. Every time you resist the urge to escape, you get a little stronger. True freedom isn't doing whatever you want. It's not being enslaved by what you crave. When you master the art of sitting with yourself, you no longer need constant validation, noise, or chaos. You become your own anchor in a stormy world. So the next time you find yourself alone with your thoughts, don't run. Sit, breathe, observe. You might be surprised to find that the person you were avoiding is actually worth knowing. Number 6, escaping isn't the same as healing. Running away from discomfort is a natural impulse. But when we constantly escape into screens, noise, or endless activity, we're not solving the problem. We're just giving it better Wi-Fi. Healing doesn't happen through avoidance. It happens through exposure, especially exposure to your own inner mess. The Stoics knew this well. They didn't preach avoidance of pain. They taught us how to face it without flinching. Marcus Aurelius didn't try to escape his emperor duties by binge-watching gladiator TikToks, if they had them. He journaled. He sat with his pain and asked what it was teaching him. When you sit with yourself, unfiltered and undistracted, the things you've been pushing away begin to surface. Old regrets, insecurities, that weird thing you said in 8th grade. Yeah, all of it. But the good news? You can't heal what you don't confront. And sitting still is step 1. Escaping feels like freedom, but it's more like hiding in a closet and calling it a palace. True peace doesn't come from evading your demons. It comes from turning the light on, sitting down with them, and saying, all right, let's talk. Number 7, the myth of external peace. How often have you said, if I just had a little more money, or if I just moved to a quieter place, then I'd be at peace? It's the classic if-then trap. But here's the Stoic bombshell. If you need your environment to be perfect to feel peace, you'll never be free. Epictetus said, we are disturbed not by events, but by the views we take of them. Meaning, it's not the world that needs fixing, it's your perception. You could be in a cabin or a cave or a cozy beach house, but if your mind is loud, no location will ever be quiet enough. Many people chase external peace like it's a product, a playlist, a scented candle, a yoga retreat. But Stoic peace isn't bought, it's built. And it starts by turning inward, not outward. Your peace should be carry-on luggage, not something you only unpack on vacation. You can rearrange your furniture 1,000 times, move cities, change friends, but if your mind isn't right, peace will keep ghosting you. Real freedom is bringing calm to chaos, not depending on chaos to disappear. Number 8, loneliness versus solitude. Here's a spicy take. Solitude is power. Loneliness is pain. The difference? One is chosen, the other is suffered. When you choose to be alone and face yourself, you gain control. When you're forced to be alone and feel abandoned by your own thoughts, you feel caged. The Stoics loved solitude, not because they hated people, but because they understood that reflection builds resilience. Seneca said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving. But in the meantime, improve yourself. Solitude helps you learn what actually matters to you, not just what trends or groupthink tells you to value. When you can sit alone and feel full, not bored, not anxious, that's spiritual weightlifting. And you don't need a library of scrolls or a toga to do it. Loneliness whispers, you're not enough. Solitude replies, you already are. One shrinks you, the other strengthens you. If you can sit in solitude and still feel whole, that's not weakness, that's elite mental fitness. Number 9, your mind is the only place you can't escape. You can ghost your friends, leave your job, unfollow your ex, fly across the world, but your mind? That comes with you, every single time. So wouldn't it make sense to make peace with it instead of running from it? Marcus Aurelius said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." If your thoughts are constantly anxious, bitter, or restless, your life feels that way, no matter how amazing your surroundings are. You don't need a new life. You need a new lens. The world spends billions teaching us how to look good. Almost nothing teaches us how to think good. Stoicism flips the script. It's not about appearing peaceful. It's about being unshakable from the inside out. And that begins with learning how to sit, reflect, and not panic. If you can't sit quietly without needing entertainment, validation, or distraction, your mind isn't a home. It's a hostage situation. But the moment you make it a place of clarity and calm, that's when you become dangerous in the best way. Number 10, from noise to wisdom. Our world rewards noise. Hot takes, loud opinions, constant posting. But the Stoics would have had a field day roasting our timelines. In their world, silence wasn't awkward, it was wise. Observation wasn't passive, it was powerful. Think about it. When was the last time you just thought without music, podcasts, or feeds flooding your brain? That silence is where wisdom lives. Not in reaction, in reflection. If your mind is constantly overstimulated, it can't process. It just reacts like a toddler with a cookie. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, believed true freedom came from aligning with nature and reason. And nature doesn't scroll. It watches. It waits. It listens. So when you sit with yourself and unplug, you're not being lazy. You're leveling up your thinking. Modern life wants you reactive. Stoicism trains you to be responsive. And the upgrade from noise to wisdom begins when you make silence not just tolerable, but sacred. Sit still long enough, and your mind stops being a battlefield and starts becoming a blueprint. If this hit home, or made you laugh and think at the same time, that's the goal. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to support the journey, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're learning to sit with yourself and what that freedom feels like. See you in the next one.